Folks, we are back. Nick McVicker, Josh Palermo from the supporter section here with you. And, man, we got a lot to discuss this week. There's a lot happening in Canadian soccer. We can go MLS teams. We actually got a win from an MLS team this weekend. I'm shocked. I know it's amazing. CPL action in full swing. Almost a new record was happening for the York United side. We'll get to that as well. Canadian women playing a pre-tournament Olympic game. We had Canadian Championship semifinals. But, Josh, of course, we're going to have to start in one place and one place only, my friend. And it's very simple. We got to start with the Copa. And for good reason. This Canadian side made it to the semifinals. They exceeded many's expectations. They pushed Argentina. They pushed Uruguay. And probably should have ended up with the third place result if we really want to break it down a little bit more. But I'm trying to look big picture before we go into the nitty-gritty. This was a dream run for many who maybe haven't followed this side for very long. This was a dream run. This was something that nobody expected. But here we are, fourth place in the Copa, in our debut in the tournament. While I want to get to the stuff that they need to work on, I want to get to the negative, we have to take in the fact that this is a huge result for Canada.
You need to be positive. You do need to be positive. And there's a lot to be proud of, you know.
There is.
You said it absolutely best. Nobody expected us to make it this far. The fact that we're able to do that is a huge thing. And I think that was the thing that I was like pinching myself a little bit throughout the entire run to be like, are we here? Is this really happening? Like, I can think back to 3 years ago. Italy had just won the Euros. Messi's playing in the Copa, and I'm supporting Argentina. I'm like, you know what? It'd be really cool for him to be able to get a trophy in his cabinet. It's been such a tumultuous thing for him. And not thinking about the fact that 3 years later, I'd have the opportunity to watch my country go toe-to-toe with him in not one but two games.
Yep.
Games where I felt we held our own for parts of it.
Yeah, we were
and then, of course,
in the games.
We showed up, you know, but it wasn't that we just showed up. We played good football. And I'm upset. I'm upset that, like, you know, we start with the positive, and then I am upset that it didn't turn into a little bit more because, I don't know, that semifinal game, so many different emotions, so many different things. Yep. Do you want to take off with your immediate thoughts?
My immediate thoughts was, God, we need to learn on how to take penalties properly.
Yeah.
Because even though we won a penalty shootout in the round of 16, the group quarterfinal, my apologies.
Yeah.
We didn't take great penalties. There was a couple. Bombito, he took a great penalty in that first game, and Kone also took a pretty good penalty in that first game. But overall, in the first game, I got an immediate flashback. It's
right?
Just the consistency from the spot is one of the hardest things for a top club to have and a top nation to have. And that is going to be one of the overarching, all right, finishing and PKs are something that we definitely need to work on as a team. And I sent my tweet out post semifinal. All right, Mr. Marsh, you need to practice shooting because we don't shoot and hit the net ever. It's bad. It's really tough. So that is one of the biggest takeaways negative for me from this tournament is that the finishing needs to be better. Yes, we ended up getting 2 goals against Uruguay, which is huge. And David with a goal poacher's goal. I loved it. That's what he needed. And he did a great job finishing that one off. We just need more consistent finishing. And I'm going to include 100%. PKs in that because that is part of the finishing aspect. But, like, all of it as a whole, that's our biggest weak spot right now, which I'm shocked to say that that's our biggest weak spot coming out of this tournament because going into it, I would have said that's one of our strengths is taking opportunities.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. It doesn't necessarily make the most amount of sense, but I guess, is that just what happens when you have a new coach come in? Is there so much emphasis on we have to learn this system, we're playing this high press, that you almost don't get the opportunity to refine your game in the most important aspect of it. I think that was kind of our narrative of the whole tournament. We kept saying that we just need to score. And in that semifinal game, Schaff had the opportunity to score right from the get-go. And I think I said that. It was important for us to be able to go up early against Argentina because, oh my God, was it frustrating to watch them just sit with the football and do the little sideways passes and just wait us out. And
but
it was great by Scaloni.
You knew that was going to happen. Even if they were not trailing, they were going to do the same thing. So
it was just, it would have definitely been one of those things where you can watch it and be a lot more confident about it. And then it was just frustrating because it was like, first of all, yeah, Schaff misses a very big opportunity early on. We're not able to score. And then it was a brilliant goal by Julian Alvarez. You know, we'll have to give, like, I don't know, can Moise Bombito do a little bit better on that?
Yes, he can.
I think with age, 100%.
That's an experience moment for a center back, and that's coming from someone who's played lots of center back. Not against the same level. I'm not arguing. I'm not even trying to put myself on that level. But knowing which way to turn is a skill, and he turned the wrong way, and it cost him a half step.
100%. So that happens. Like, I don't know. You look at both of those goals and you feel like they're semi-preventable. I don't know. Ishmael Kone could have cleared the ball out, but he doesn't. It was tough. He's on the ground.
Yeah, I struggle with everyone jumping on Kone for that one because he was facing the net as he started to fall, and he falls and he's just trying to clear it, and he can't get a whole lot on it because he's falling. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah. He did pretty much everything he could possibly do from that spot. I think it's actually the person right before. Someone had a header opportunity to clear it and barely got it to Kone. That's the person that I'm like, you were there. You were kind of standing there. Like, you got to put that to the side. I'm sorry. Like, it's got to go to the side or you're heading it 20 yards. If you're not heading it 20 yards, you're putting it out sideways. You're not putting it back in the middle of the box, where Kone has the opportunity to clear it. I was really disappointed people jumped on Kone for that. I get why when you're looking at it, but like breaking it down from an actual play perspective, there's not much else he could do. He's just swinging at that point as he's falling, trying to get it out. So I don't know. I just struggled with that one. But yes, preventable. Maybe a different person should have been able to prevent it, but it was preventable. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's just it. You saw a little bit of the inexperience and the fact that we're not at the same level as Argentina. It is what it is. It's the unfortunate thing, and that's what I left last night's game saying after they had won the Copa America it's just like when you have the Capo Caninieri, when you have the leading goal scorer of Serie A on the bench. I mean, they have depth. They have depth and they have experience.
In the tournament too.
That's true. It's true in the tournament as well.
He won the Golden Boot.
Yeah. Unlike the Euros where the Golden Boot was given to the own goal, but
and rightfully so.
Exactly, but yeah. So the semifinal game, that's just it. It's frustrating for those aspects where it's just those finer details. But I think I said that off air that this team with time will have the opportunity to get better. And when you look at the core, there's a lot to be excited about because they're just so freaking young, They're kids. Like Moise Bombito's 24 years old. It's crazy. And especially like when you look at center backs and how long they can play into their career, he's just at the beginning. He's nowhere near his peak, and he's already playing this well. And the same goes with everybody. If you had told me Alphonso Davies was 27, I'd be like, honestly, maybe. Like, the fact he's just been part of this Canadian soccer landscape for what feels like forever. And at 23, he's leading this team to a Copa America semifinals.
I mean, it helps when you start with the Canadian team at like 16.
It's true.
Makes your career a lot longer.
Exactly. I mean, hopefully.
No, but I just mean like your international career is going to be longer just for the sheer fact that he started his international career at 16 or 17.
No, 100%.
Instead of 23.
Yeah, exactly. So there was those aspects of a little bit of the inexperience. And what was just like really salt in the wound was it was just like we felt like we came so close at the end. Like Argentina was giving the ball away. We had chances. Taniel Luiz could have put a header in. And then you think back and you're like, oh my God, if Schaff scores the first goal, maybe we still let in those 2 goals. Whatever. Tanny scores again. We have this crazy thriller where we go to penalties, whatever have you. But I mean, we got what I think was an expected result. And I think that there is a lot to be grateful for. Not to go down the moral victory route, but just to understand where this nation's at footballing wise and put everything into perspective. That was great. Moving on to the third place game, You got to be serious. I just like, you have to put games away. Like, I've never been more angry in my entire life watching
you texted me
the
pretty
game as
pissed
national team.
off. I was working, and I asked you to give me score updates, and you did, and I really appreciate it. But oh my goodness, you were furious post match, and I was like, whoa.
Listen, how do you let that slip? Why are you taking a Panenka as your last shot? Like, you're not Andre Pirlo, you're not Zinedine Zidane. Fonzie, what are you doing, bro?
Hey, remember me saying that we need to work on PKs?
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. And then Kone with the freaking stutter step the second time. I feel like I've heard everybody in the world complain about people doing that in both competitions, the Euros and the Copa America. I have nightmares every single day. Every time I watch Jorginho put on a shirt and play football, whether it's club or country, it just gives me anxiety. So like I can't. He's a great midfielder, but it's just we never forget. So yeah, but I mean, it shouldn't have even gone to penalties. It shouldn't even gone. I know Luis Suarez. Put the game away. Put the game away. Stand in the corner with the football and put the game away.
Yeah, and Schaff had the opportunity to do that with about 3 minutes left, and he decided, and he I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but he didn't do it, and they come back 2 minutes later and score.
I mean, yeah, you got freaking Luis Suarez on the pitch. What are they going to do? Open you up, and he's going to score the goal that he scored 1,000,001 billion times? Like,
and I'm sorry. Of course, it was Luis Suarez. It wasn't Darwin Nunez. It wasn't any of these other. Of course, it was the rat Luis Suarez. And I call him that because that was his nickname. He is a rat, but that was his actual nickname. It's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that can't happen. You can't let that happen. And Canada played a decent match up to that point. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but they looked good. They looked competitive against one of the top 15, 16 teams in the world in Uruguay. Maybe top, if we want to, let's say top 20 around it. Like, they're a top team. It's not like we were out of that match.
No.
And we should have probably won it in reg. We should have probably ended it there. When you're scoring 2 goals in a match, you should be winning most of those games.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Especially with the way that we've defended the entire tournament. That's a game that when you are up 2-1, I guess, technically. When you are up 2-1, you need to bury it. You need to either pass the ball and make them run themselves to death, or you need to head straight to the corner flag and shield the hell out of the ball. You cannot give them opportunities. And if you are going to give the ball away, you need to be structurally sound. And that goal, I'm sorry, was not structurally sound. That was the worst stretch I had seen from the Canadian backline the whole tournament, in my opinion, as a forward. Because they weren't in line to allow that ball through, and no one moved after the ball was played, and Suarez was wide open. Like, you can't allow that.
How do you get caught ball watching? How do you get lost when the whole thing that everybody was saying heading into the third place match was, we need to win this game? I don't know. When the lineup that Jesse Marsch put out is that lineup, that doesn't necessarily feel like that's what their game plan is to me. You know, it was a bit complicated. It was a bit complicated because initially I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? I thought we wanted to win third place. And then I watched those guys play and I was like, hold on a second. They're playing good football. Where the hell were they earlier in this tournament?
Yeah, I think the problem is that we have good talent on the bench. They're not great, but they're good talent on the bench, and they're young, so they make up for the lack of skill with just energy, right? So you put a lot of energy guys on the pitch at the same time. You throw the Ali Ahmeds in there. You throw the Chouaniers. You throw those guys in there. They're going to bring energy, right? And that's what we saw. They came out and they played with energy. Was there mistakes? Yeah, a few. Right? Were they the top team when we're talking skill through that first 45? No. But they still came out with a halftime result of 1-1. Right? So it's not like they lost the game in the first half without the big guys on the pitch. And then you throw in the big guys, and it didn't drop off drastically or didn't pick up drastically. The skill or the energy level was good throughout the 90. And the biggest issue for me is that everyone made such a big deal about that starting lineup. They're like, oh, we can't have this. This is unacceptable. We want to win these tournaments. And I'm like, well, I really like Ahmed. I think Choinier's had a great year in Montreal, and I'm like, okay, let's give him a try because he has brought energy for that Montreal side. And then we saw what happened. He looked good. Kone looked good, right? Like there's a lot of good that we saw from that starting 11. And now it becomes, all right, who from the regular starting 11 in the tournament may have just lost their starting spot, right? Because these guys have the ability. And in 2 years, what's our starting 11 going to look like? Right? If we're seriously considering it, who's your midfield two going into 2026?
Well, I mean, it's still got to – it's Kone and Eustáquio, I think, because Eustáquio's going to be 29?
Yeah.
Kone will have had – I don't actually know how long his deal is at Marseille, but he will have been in League One.
Yep.
And he'll be 24 at that point, so entering his prime. So 100%. But what's nice is that's just it. You have guys waiting in the wings that if you aren't able to step up and show that you can perform at the highest level, there's people who are going to slot right in behind you. And I think that you can look at 2026 with a lot of optimism. And, like, I don't know. I had some mixed feelings. I was like, what do we expect heading into that World Cup? Because heading into the World Cup in 2020, I have an answer for
that, but
okay. What are your thoughts on it?
No, finish your sentence and then I'll get into my thoughts.
It was I was like, what do we expect? What are we gonna do? And then you watch this tournament, and I was extremely optimistic because that was just it. It was this whole squad performed well. You know, you do see those inconsistencies. You do see the mistakes happening, but those are all things that these young players can work on and develop. And we'll have a fantastic core, and not just the core, but just everybody. It is a competitive thing to make this Canadian men's national team. It's not guaranteed. You're not going to be able to write down
26 guys that are coming every tournament for the next 5 years because that's not how it's going to work. We're going to have rotation.
Exactly. Okay, what were you going to say?
The realistic expectations, barring getting into a group of death, which we ended up being in the last World Cup too. But I didn't have high expectations for that. I had a third place, maybe if we're very lucky and can get Croatia on a bad day, second place sort of thing going into the tournament. Didn't really expect too much. This one, barring a group of death, our expectation should be to get out of our group.
Oh, yeah.
Should be.
I'm shooting quarterfinals.
Well, I say get out of the group because I think, unfortunately, we're not at that stage where we should expect to get to a semifinal and a final. Like, we're not that level.
Fair.
And when it comes down to the knockout stage, games are a coin flip some days. You just don't know, right? Like, when we're talking about this, like, are we talking round of 16? A round of 16 game, you could end up playing Argentina, you could end up playing France, or you could end up playing the U.S. You could end up playing Switzerland. You know what I mean? Like, it's so inconsistent. So I think until we see what the groups are looking like and where everybody kind of going to end up, realistic expectation, get out of the group stage.
Let's get out of the group.
Potentially win a round of 16. And then play with house money at that point. Because if we're in the quarterfinals, flip a coin. You show up and another team doesn't one day, you're in the semi, right? You're getting 7 games potentially. Like, that's huge. You gotta take advantage of that. But right now, if we're talking this moment, what are realistic expectations for this side in 2 years? It has to be get out of the group stage and then compete in a round of 16 game.
Yeah.
Win it would be great, and obviously is not out of the realm of possibility. But until we see who we're up against, until we see what the groups are like, you know what I mean? It's hard to just say that they need to get to the quarterfinals. Because the quarterfinals is the top 8 teams in the world. Supposedly, you know what I mean? It's the top 8 teams.
Now. Are we looking at the expanded tournament heading into the 2026 World Cup? Like, do we have more than 32 teams?
Yeah.
So that's the jump to 36.
48. Isn't it?
No, how big do they expand the tournament by? Now,
Hold on, I'll look.
I
You keep
went into the
talking.
weeds here.
You went into the weeds.
But
You got me all messed up.
I'm sorry, it's my fault. It's just I got a lot of things in my head. Okay, this is the biggest week of Canadian soccer in quite a long time, which has been crazy, exciting, very exciting to be able to watch all the things that have been going on.
48 teams.
There's 48 teams competing in this upcoming World Cup.
Yeah, I thought so. I'm not crazy.
What? What? Okay, so what?
The teams
How the
will
hell
be,
does
the teams will be split into 12 groups of 4. Top 2 from each group, and the 8 best. Oh my God, fuck. Pardon my language. Each group, the top 2 teams will get out, and the 8 best third place teams will also progress to a new round of 32.
There
So
we go.
you
Okay.
have to get out. I'm sorry, you have to get out of the group if you're Canada. Regardless,
At that point,
you have to
100%, 100%.
and
Yeah,
then
there's no
you
excuses.
should win your next game.
Okay,
Get
so
to the round of 16. Round of 16 is the realistic level for me.
that's what now I mean that because that's just it. I mean, if you're talking a tournament that's 32, that's another story. Then I'm going to say quarterfinal. But yeah, round of 16 would be phenomenal.
Round of 16 is expected.
Yeah, 100%. What the hell are we doing? 48 teams. Anyways, that's just
Well, the thing is that like I actually don't mind the 48 teams. I know everyone's going to say, "Oh, it's watered down, blah 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 blah," and it's a money grab. They just want to have more games. Like, yes, you're not wrong. I'm not arguing that point. But like when they switched this 7 tournaments ago to 32 teams, think about how many more countries are competitive now. Think about how many more countries are even in FIFA now from that point. Like we're talking 28 years, technically 32 years from when the first 32 team tournament was held. 32 years ago. How many countries had teams in FIFA and were competing at this level, right? Like how many more are involved? How many more good teams are involved? Everyone freaks out. It's a money grab. We can't. Yes, you're not wrong, but like at least understand why it's also good for the sport. We get more countries involved in the biggest tournament, and it's going to be competitive because they still have to go through the rigorous qualification that everyone has to go through, except Canada, U.S., Mexico, because they're hosting, right? Everyone's got to go through qualification. Everyone's got to get there. So they're already proving themselves to get there, and now we're going to have a bigger, more competitive tournament when it comes to the round of 32, the round of 16, the round of 8, because we're getting the best of the best, beating the best of the best, in my opinion. I think it'll be good for the sport. I get why people think it's just a money grab because it's in the U.S. We're expanding 48 teams. Fine, I get it, but I don't think that's the only reason they thought about expanding to 48 teams. It just so happens that it's happening in the U.S. for the first one.
that's complicated because the other thing too
Yes,
is just like that's
it
just
is
so much
complicated.
goddamn football. It's so much football. Like
And what's wrong with that?
for the players, for the fact that
Yeah, but
like,
here's the thing. There's 12
the
groups.
injuries have been insane.
Oh, no. But think about this. There is 12 groups. You're not playing 3 days later like we did in the Copa,
Okay,
right? You're playing 6 days later.
that's fair.
Right? You're playing basically a game a week, which is what your normal, and I mean a light normal schedule is for your regular season, right? Because you usually have one game a week for your league, and then teams will have cups and UEFA Euro club competitions or the Club World Championship. Like that is a light schedule for most of these players. They're playing once a week,
Yeah,
right? Like it's just going to be 4 games a day.
which is
only
huge.
2
Yeah,
groups
yeah.
get to play. They just 'cause
When
you have to.
Yeah, that's fair. That when you look at it from that perspective, with that almost is an advantage.
Yeah, I would
sure.
I would assume that's how they're going to do it. But
We gotta
regardless, it's not going to be less than 4 days between games. Just
Yeah,
that's
because
too
they
many
have to fit
games
all the
on
games
TV.
in. They have to
That's just too
exactly.
many games
they
on
have TV
TV.
scheduling. Yeah,
Like, everything comes down to rights at that point, and they're not going to schedule that many teams in all at the same time. So the tournament's going to be longer. There's going to be more games, but it actually is going to probably benefit the players in the group stage at least because they're not going to have that condensed 3 games in what was it for Canada? They played 3 games in
I don't know. Exactly.
7 days?
Hold on a second. Yeah,
Roughly
it was quite tight.
7 or
Yeah.
8 days, right? So they had 3 games in a week. these guys are going to have 1 or 2 a week in the group stage. It's going to take almost 12 days to get the group stage done for each group.
Yeah. It'll be a weird look. It'll be a very weird look because if you then extend the international competition, that's less of an opportunity, theoretically, to have time off for the guys post-tournament.
Right.
But it's
and
all
that's
contingent on how far
different.
everybody
Yeah.
gets. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. And, yeah, you have to be a top team to make it an issue. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be the Argentinas and the Frances probably, and maybe England. Maybe we see Uruguay. Maybe we see Colombia, right? The guys who we just saw. These teams were good. The Spain,
Yeah.
the very young Spain team, right? These are the teams that are going to be going far, and that may end up hurting them at the beginning of their club seasons, the players, but I don't think they're going to care. It's the World Cup.
It's true. Well, it'll be very interesting to see how the whole thing breaks down. So much can happen in football in 2 years. Like everything, I think moves faster in football. So
Yeah.
we'll see. The possibilities are endless.
But there's
I mean,
realistic expectations for this team to do well in the next tournament.
Yeah.
So
no, and
we just need to see.
I liked all. Yeah, 100%. I liked everything that was being said about the importance of the CPL. In addition to that, and I really liked that Jesse Marsh was at the Forge Pacific game last night. It was, it was quite funny because I have to be honest. I was one of those people that was like, "Who the hell is this Yankee? Like, who's this American?"
See, you're uneducated, my friend. Uneducated.
I got to be that fan sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you'd have to have known him when he was coaching over in Europe in certain spots, but it's certain.
I'm
spots.
not watching Leeds. I'm not
That's the thing. I did because I'm an EPL guy. Like I watch the English league. That's the one that I will say out of the 5 big in Europe, that's my league, right? I do dabble with the other ones, but it's the one that I find the most enjoyment out of, right? Well, no, you can
when
watch
Man
the
United
other
does
ones.
well.
Yeah, never, but whatever. But like I knew about Jesse Marsh from his time with New York in MLS, from going over to Leeds. Like I knew of Jesse Marsh. I knew he was a good coach. Can he be a great coach for this team? That was my question about him. And so far he's proven very, very well, and it looks like he's trying to do everything he can to grow not just this team, but the pool for this team as much as he possibly can, which is so key. But yeah,
no, it's absolutely massive.
Seeing me at the Forge game was huge, and getting interviewed on TSN pre-match for the Copa final because they had to delay it and they needed to fill, and he was there, so they put him in front of a Forge sign. It's like that's just big for the league. Like you got to keep doing that, and from the sounds of it, his goal is to watch as many MLS Canadian players and CPL matches as he can over the next 2 months before the next window. I think the next window is September, where we have a game or two.
The friendlies against Mexico, and I can't remember who else we're playing.
Yeah, we have 2 matches then, and then there's another one in November where we have 2 matches. So he's got 2 windows in the next 4 months.
Yeah, the very next one is the States, and then it's Mexico.
Yeah. Those are big windows for us. And I wouldn't be shocked to see a little rotation in the squad. Like we know who the Davids and the Larens and the Fonzies and Eustachio. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Kone and Chouanier start a match together. I wouldn't be shocked if Ali Ahmed and Tawny are starting up top, right? Like these are things that I also wouldn't be upset about it because I want to see these guys play with the rest of the lineup. I want to see a lot of the starters in with the rotation, but I want to see these guys play because they showed that they deserve, at the very least, a chance in the last 2 matches of this tournament. And I think there is more to come from that
100%.
perspective. And we could see maybe a young CPL star going out and playing. Who knows? I don't know for sure. I doubt it. But there's a chance that one might get called into the camp for that reason, because he's going to watch and he's going to keep an eye and be like, okay. And he'll probably end up going to talk to these guys, right? He's going to keep them in the loop, which is what we need to see.
I'm really excited about that, 100%. I mean, preaching to the choir, but a domestic league is the most important thing for the development of players for a nation.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he wants to take such an integral role in that is massive. And the fact that CPL sides are beating MLS sides makes me excited, even though I'm a TFC fan. So I think it's all boding very, very well, and I'm excited. Yeah, I mean, so we have the CONCACAF Nations League lined up, and Canada gets a bye for the group stage part. So that'll be an interesting opportunity to see other guys be able to step in and see those pairings that we're talking about. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think there is a lot of growth that is going to happen over the next 4 months in those 4 matches that we're going to see. We got two, as I said, in September, 2 in November. There's a lot that will happen with this side and a lot of positives that will happen with this side. So I'm excited to see who ends up in camps over the next 2 camps. I'm wondering if there's going to be any names that maybe come out of the blue. Marsh seems like that guy where he wants to bring as many people into the pool, get everyone understanding what it means, and then make his decision when it comes to the big matches, who the top guys at that moment are. Because let's be honest, we can have guys who are consistently there, right? You know Alfonso's going to be there. You know Eustaquio's going to be there. You know Crepeau's going to be there now. You know Bombito and Cornelius are probably going to be there. But let's say a guy like Chouanier, right, who looked very good in this tournament. Well, what if he's not playing well? What if he's having a very rough stretch, right? And someone else shows that they deserve to be there. Well, I think it takes a manager who has the trust of the players and the understanding that just because I didn't pick you in this camp doesn't mean that you're not part of this brotherhood, doesn't mean you're not part of this squad. It just means at this very moment, I think this guy can give us a better run out. That is very, very tough, and the best international managers do it the best. So for me, I think that's what Marsh needs to become if he wants to be the international manager that gets us there. And he could, and it looks like he's trying to build that pool out that way to allow it to happen, which is great.
100%.
So, yeah, that was a 30-minute talk about the Canadian men's national team, or 20-minute.
We tried to keep it short.
20-minute talk. 30-minute talk? I don't know. 30-minute talk. Anyways, we'll move on. And from the men's national side to the women's national side, they actually had a pre-Olympic match this weekend, and they beat Australia 2-1 in Marbella. I think that's in France.
Yeah, Marbella, Spain. I think it's Marbella. I didn't check my pronunciation. It was in Spain.
Oh, yeah, it is in Spain.
It was quite a weird one to watch because I was just like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like I didn't have an understanding that the training camps were being run in Spain. So
I knew our camp was run in Spain, but I thought we were playing in France at one of the Olympic stadium, like one of the Olympic venues. That's why I was confused, and that's my.
Yeah.
I should have known better, but
it happens. You can only keep up with so much.
But yeah, and a big 2-1 result against a very good Australian side. They're not. Yeah, I mean, they might not be top 5, but they're a top 10, top 15 team in the women's side. So getting that result is great.
They went to the semifinals of the World Cup last summer, right?
They did.
Yeah.
A very good squad.
Without Sam Kerr, but 100% a very, very good squad. It was an interesting game in that both goals were from goalkeeper errors. Well, the first 2 anyways. So I was
Gotta love that.
Oh, great. Yeah. I feel really great about things now heading into the Olympics. But no, I think like Canada showed they are and continue to be a very, very good team. And I think they have pieces now that were missing at the World Cup last summer. When you talk about Jade Rose entering the side, when you talk about Simi Awuju entering the team, those were players, young players that we needed to help rejuvenate this team. The thing that I continue to be nervous about is not having a solid number 9. Nichelle Prince did pick up a goal. You know what I mean?
Yep, she did.
So all in all, it was a very, very good showing. There was a lot of shots, not many on target, but they showed that they're dominant on the football. They were able to grab a win at the end of it. It was sick to see Gabby Carl grab an assist there as somebody who is a bubble player, not making the 18 initially, but being able to pick up an assist on that one. And it was Evelyn Vian that I believe who put it away. Yep. So like it was there were a lot of positives to take from that, and it is it's an exciting thing to look forward to the Olympics. I do feel optimistic about it. I didn't feel very optimistic about the last World Cup. I was excited because, you're like, this is Sink's last tournament, we are defending gold medalists from the prior Olympics, but also you looked at that team and you just felt like they didn't necessarily have, they just didn't have it. They didn't have what you need to be a strong tournament team. Exactly. They did not. I mean, that was definitely they didn't have enough to get out of the group. That was the narrative of our tournament. But there's been a lot of competitions that we had the Gold Cup happen. It wasn't necessarily called the Gold Cup. Sorry, what was it? What was the name of the
It was a W.
Okay, so it was
W Gold Cup, I believe.
So it was the W CONCACAF Gold Cup, and then we also had the She Believes Cup, and just with every game the team continues to grow, and I was impressed. Initially nervous, which I think really is just how I feel about every game that I watch.
I was gonna say, isn't that just you in general when it's soccer related?
Just me and soccer nerves, but no, they ended up playing well and they grabbed a nice victory, and then they play Nigeria next, but it's a closed door, so nobody's able to watch that one.
Yeah, we'll get updates from the social media teams and stuff like that. But yeah, it's closed door because they're gonna. And for anyone who doesn't really know what closed door matches mean, it just means that sometimes they're just gonna stop the game and give free kicks to one side or the other to test stuff, or they're going to pull the sides to the side so they can talk about something that they want to work on. It just allows a little bit more freedom without having we're on TV, we're being filmed. You know what I mean? It doesn't always happen. Sometimes they play the full 90 just as is. Most of the time there's little coaching things like they'll pull the teams to the side and reset and go from there. If it's like a goal kick, they'll just reset everything. So closed door doesn't mean a whole lot in honesty. It's more just like it's a practice match more than a friendly.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Not a full friendly, but it's a practice match. So, but yeah, the result against Australia is good. I mean, I don't love the fact that we got outpossessed by a team who doesn't even have Sam Kerr on the field. Like, that concerns me. But then you look at the rest of the stats, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they did outpossess us, but it didn't mean a whole lot. They had 2 shots the whole game, and only one hit the net, and it went in. But so that's not great. But
I think you're allowed one gaff. If that gaff is going to happen in a friendly match, and we prevent that from happening at the Olympics, I'll take
fair.
It, you know?
And then you look at the other side, and we had 19 shots and 6 on target. Again, I'd like to hit the net a little bit more out of those 19 shots. I'd like that to be closer to 9 or 10 on target. But grand scheme of things, we were out chancing them, and 2 goals probably should have been 3.
Yeah.
You can't really complain about that result. That's what you want to see. I was a little disappointed because I talked about it when we talked about the roster, is that Sydney Collins, she didn't play.
Yeah. That's right. I think you look at this.
That just concerns me because she hasn't played much to begin with, and she is part of the 18. She's not a reserve. I would have wanted her in the match. Because it's a friendly, like, even if you run her out there for 20 minutes, at least then I know she's healthy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the whole point of this, really, was just to be able to give those players the opportunity to get minutes in a competitive setting.
It just struck me as odd.
Yeah.
And I know she was warming up, so, like, obviously she was there, but, like, something didn't click for me that she didn't get on the pitch when I thought this was a perfect opportunity, even if it's 15 to 30 minutes range, right? Just let her do a run out. And then the next match, you're aiming for like 45 to 60 sort of range. You know what I mean? Because then by the time the tournament,
they could have done that.
And then by the time the tournament starts, like, if you need her to go 90, she could. You're hoping that she's not one of the ones going 90 because our back line is very strong.
Yeah.
But if that happens, you have to have someone in play. If something awful happens, knock on all the wood, to one of our backline people, we need to have someone we can trust to go in there. And Collins is the one you put on the 18. Why is she not making an appearance in the 2? She should be making an appearance in both friendly matches.
Yeah, 100%. You have that option, and you can do a slow integration that allows that transition from, we just came off an injury. Let's get back into the pace of play. So it's weird. I don't know. I was already sketched out about the initial inclusion in the 18 when we saw who was
talked about
on the taxi squad, right? Yeah, we already said that. So I don't know. We'll see what information we end up getting from the closed door friendly and how much Sydney Collins has to play. 100%.
If she doesn't, I'm genuinely concerned that she's not healthy and not ready to go.
But what is Bev doing in that situation? It's like, I don't know. You have conversations sometimes about players being included for morale reasons, but it's like, I mean, you don't have to you're
so
allowed
young,
to bring
though.
players
She's
along.
not even like it's not even like the rest of the squad would. I mean, maybe they are fighting for her to be on the squad. Like, I don't know, but like, it's not like she's a Sinclair or a Diana Matheson sort of player where like that's a leader. You want to have them on. They might not be 90-minute player, but you want them on the squad just because they are a leader of the side. That's not. I'm not saying Collins necessarily isn't that because I'm not around the side. I don't know who the leaders really are, but
True,
I wouldn't think that she's that yet. She's just so young. So for me, I have no problem including her in the squad if she's healthy and she's playing well, but she's not playing. She hasn't been healthy, and now you're not playing her in the friendly lead-up pre-tournament games. Like, it struck me as odd. And I think the team played well in this game. I'm not ripping on the players who played. And maybe it was because the players were playing well that Bev didn't want to make that change at the back. Like, maybe fine, but you got to get her into a match. You got to get her playing. She has to be doing something other than sitting on the bench. Because if she's just sitting on the bench taking up a spot for the entire tournament, I mean, again, maybe that's the case just because our back three is all healthy and playing well. But that's a concern to me. If it was a 26-player roster or even a 23-player roster, I would understand that more. It's 18. It is 18 players. You only have 2 defensive players on your bench. You need to make sure that they can play. And right now, I have serious questions about whether or not she can play.
100%.
And not skill wise, and not
no,
the
it's
issue.
just
whether or not she's physically able to play.
Physically fit for this. So I don't know. Bev must know something that we don't. So I don't know. All my faith in Bev Priestman until proven wrong.
And that's exactly it. Like there has to be some conversations. I'm just going from my perspective, outside, not involved in the camp, not asking Bev questions. Why? Like, why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this?
So.
But I don't know. Aside from that, I think everything else was straightforward things that we can be excited and optimistic about. As my cat knocks my camera around. What do we ultimately think is an acceptable result for this Canadian women's national team at the Olympics? Can we win back-to-back golds?
Oh, it's going to be tough. I will say that. Let me just look at the groups. I just want to pull the groups up. Because I think we got a very tough group.
Yeah, we got New Zealand.
We did get
France.
We got France,
and
Colombia, and New Zealand.
Yes, France, Colombia, and New Zealand.
You have U.S., Germany, Australia, and then to be determined African side.
No.
And then Spain, Japan, Brazil, and the first place African side. So, I mean, none of these groups are easy. I want to make that very clear. Yeah. I think realistically, I'm just trying to figure out, does it go straight to semis or is it quarterfinals and then semis? It's quarterfinals. I thought that was
it's quarterfinals.
So top 2 teams from each group and then the next 2 third-place teams. So
there's no question about making it out of the group.
I mean, you should. But there's no easy games there.
No, not well. I don't know. New Zealand, you have to win that game. No questions asked.
You absolutely should win that.
You have to win that game. Like that's a must-win match. France up next. I like our chances against France. You know what I mean? Like I'm
There's
not
no game that we couldn't win.
Yeah.
But that France and even the Colombia, because that Colombian women's side is dangerous. They're not.
Linda Caicedo. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're not the best team overall. Like they're not gonna necessarily run through a tournament and kill everybody, but they're dangerous, and that's a team that you got to watch out for. I think realistically, if we're saying they should finish top 2 in their group.
Yep.
Right? They should. But I also question where our goals are going to come from.
Adriana Leon, of course. Who else?
Hey, she's been great, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's tough. That's a tough ask.
Yeah. She's one that has very much impressed me. I hope Nichelle Prince has everything going. Jordan Heidema, I've not been thoroughly impressed with over the last.
But
I don't want
she
like 6.
manages to find goals at big moments.
It's true.
It's so true. Got to get her into the knockout stage and just let her score a goal in the 89th minute.
And that's what we need at the end of the day. Like, it's tournament football. You just need to get everybody on the same page, and you can't. Don't take the pedal off the gas at any moment. We can't have. There's no margin for errors in this tournament, and I don't see like we can get a medal. I think that's a reasonable ask to get back-to-back golds. It's going to be a tight push, so like it was a wonderful achievement. I'm gonna say that I'm optimistic, but I could see us walking away with bronze.
I think a semifinal berth is what needs to happen. I think they need to get out of the group and win the quarterfinal game. From there, here's the crazy thing. If they get to the semifinals, I could see them finishing in any of the 4 spots.
Yeah.
Realistically. Just because if we get goal scoring, we could easily win. If we get some goal scoring, second place.
Yeah.
If we get 1 goal, third. If we get no scoring, we're fourth. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it comes down to that. Like, I think defensively we're a very solid team. I don't think we're going to get beat many times on counterattacks. I don't think we're going to get beat a whole lot through open play. We're going to get beat. It's not like we're not going to give up any goals in the tournament. I'm not stupid. But defensively we're very strong, so I'm not worried about that. Whereas, like, offensively, I like Lyon, I like Lacasse, I like Viennes, I like Prince, but none of them just scream like top goal scorer for me. Like on the men's side, we have Jonathan David, who going into the Copa at least is a goal scorer, right? Kyle Larin is a goal scorer, right? We know who the goals are most likely coming from on the men's side, or at least we thought we did. That obviously changed, but you know what I mean. We knew who our guys were on the men's side. I don't know who the women are who are going to step up and score those goals.
No, that's fair. And
it's a young side. It's a young offensive side.
Yeah, that's been our issue, 100%. So, I don't know. Hopefully, Vienne continues to prove to be that super sub for us off bench. Hopefully, Nichelle Prince is firing on all cylinders from the beginning of this tournament. And that's just it. If your backline can do their job and we can get the offense rolling, anything's possible. It's just about we got to see what these teams look like come the tournament.
Absolutely. And we will, because it's coming up very quickly.
Very soon. July 25th is our first match.
Yep.
I'm thrilled.
Which is, what, 10 days? 10 days.
Yeah.
10 days, man.
Yeah.
Not even 2
The football
weeks.
doesn't stop. The football doesn't stop. This is like, it's been a fantastic summer.
And speaking of football not stopping, let's make the transition to the next conversational topic we have.
We're not stopping.
We're not stopping. Canadian Championship, semifinal, first legs kicked off this week. And yes, I know which one you want to talk about, and we'll get to that one. Let's talk about the second game first, though. Because I was actually impressed with Pacific in this match.
Oh, yeah.
I think they looked very, very strong. And I think they exceeded most people's expectations. Yes, they lost. I get that. But it was a 1-0 game against an MLS side who they were even on shots on target. The possession was well in favor of Vancouver. But they were in the match Pacific. There was at no point were they out of this match, in my opinion. They got outplayed. Yeah, they were the second side, but they weren't out of it. It was a lot closer than that possession stat looked, at least in
100%.
my opinion.
Yeah. No, I like if I'm a Pacific fan, I'm a little bit upset because there were chances. There were chances for Pacific, and they looked dangerous at times, and it was quite exciting. And I think honestly, 1-0 at home is not a crazy hole to climb out of.
No.
Now, am I saying that they're going to be able to beat this Vancouver side in the second leg? Who knows? But they did show signs of a quality side. They showed that they're going to stick with them. And we've known that in the past. This is nothing new that they're able to. But there are a lot of positives to take away from it. And some things, as always, just the finer margins where there were chances that could have gone into the net for Pacific and where they had played well. And then Vancouver does what Vancouver does, and Ryan Gold does what Ryan Gold. Who was the goal scorer? Now it
was Gold.
I've blanked for it. It was Gold. So there you go. He does what he does. It'll be an interesting second leg, but see how it goes.
Yeah, and the thing is that they gave themselves a chance in the second leg. Now, the second leg's a month and a half away, so these rosters are going to look drastically different. So it'll be interesting to see who's actually playing in those matches. But they gave themselves a realistic chance. Are they favored to go through and win or get a result in Vancouver? No. Nor should they be. But there's a chance. It's tourney football. It happens. We've seen it in many big tournaments around the world. The lower side can get through. It happens. Yeah. They gave themselves a shot. And that's what matters in these kind of competitions. You give your team 100%. An opportunity to get to that next level. And this is what they've done in the first match. It's a great saying. In a tie, you cannot lose the tie in game one. Or sorry, you cannot win the tie in game one, but you can definitely lose it. Nico was saying it on Footy First this past week. It is so true, and Pacific did not lose the tie in game one with a loss, but they could have they did not win the tie, and they did not win the match, but they did not lose the tie either, which is what you want to do. That's the most important thing. That's the whole point.
When you can have positive performances through stretches of the match, and you keep them to only one goal, it's fully open. I think that's just it. You want to look at it on paper, you could say maybe not, but you never know what's going to happen on a night in Vancouver.
Yeah, and listen, Vancouver, for their side, they looked good. It's not like they looked poor. I just think Pacific played up to them. And Vancouver is going through a horrible stretch of play in MLS. Finally got a win, by the way. It took them long enough. Yeah. They needed that, in my opinion. If they had lost that match against Pacific this week, big red flags go up. Big red flags go up.
I wonder if that happened to any other teams.
Well, yeah. Well, for one game at a time here, my friend.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry.
They obviously didn't win the tie in this match. They didn't dominate the whole game, but they showed a very solid 90 minutes. And now they've gone and they won their first MLS match in a while too, which is good. This is positive stuff for them. Now they're going to have to play a Pacific team in a month and a half who are going to come out flying, trying to get an early goal and change the tie. So it'll be interesting. And yes, you're right. We'll get to the other match now. Which side would you like to start with? The happy side or the sad side from this one?
The sad side, as always, right?
Okay, let's go sad side. TFC head into Hamilton and lose 2-1 to Forge, a team that is flying right now and playing well. And that's why prior to the game, I said I am picking Forge to win the tie. They've been better. TFC has been awful since May. Awful.
They suck.
Since May 15th, they've been awful.
It's just bad at football.
The worst part is that they've shown flashes of what they are capable of in games.
Those defenders can't defend.
I'm not saying necessarily defensively, but I'm just using an example. The first half against Nashville, where they lost 2-1. They were up 1-0 at halftime. They looked good in that first half. That looked like the team we saw at the beginning of the season, right? They've shown flashes of that team in this crappy run of form. You know what I mean? But the problem is now you're in a big tournament. The Canadian Championship for clubs in Canada is a big tournament.
Yeah.
And you don't show up against a team who is ready, who is well coached. They came out hungry. And Bada Banga scores from his own half to get the festivity started. That is demoralizing.
Especially when Luka Gavrin's last start, he also skeefed that for himself.
Yeah.
Right? He's back-to-back times that this guy's taken between the sticks, he fucks up. And it's great, man. Wonderful. That's what we needed.
And it sucks because he actually had such a good start to his season. I thought he was becoming like the next guy, right? The Stephen Fry who we had here before he went to Seattle, right? And the heir apparent to Sean Johnson if he moves on. Now I'm questioning that, which sucks because I was really excited about how he started the season with Johnson hurt.
Yeah.
Now he's just not playing well, and I don't know. I'm not necessarily putting that goal on him because I think Badabanga just caught one.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. We have
65
to
yards out. Like,
have to tip your cap. Like, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Yeah.
He was 65 yards out. I don't want my goalie playing on the goal line from 65 yards away. You know what I mean? Like, if he is, I'm questioning him on that. Like, great, you made the save, but why are you on your goal line when the ball's 15, 20 yards in the other team's half?
100%. 100%.
Right?
Like, really, you're allowed to be frustrated with Gavin.
Far, but
But really, like, that was just a brilliant strike. It was an absolutely fantastic goal. Forge came out flying in that match. Tristan Borges, David Schwanier, like, just their link-up play was beautiful. I mean, what else do you expect? Forge being Forge. And, like,
man,
it was
Bobby's
just
so good.
It's the worst thing in the world because you're watching that game and you're just like as a TFC fan and you're just like, man, they're good at football. Like, you know, like they
play together. That's the difference.
Yes.
Forge is a team and TFC is not right now.
Oh yeah, they played through Toronto FC. Just they made our defense look like they were playing League One, and it was Kosi Thompson's remarks after the match were just abhorrent. I was like, really, pal? Like, you're going to be in this league next year. You can't say that.
I was so disappointed with that comment from him. Because I've actually really respected Kosi for a long time, and then he goes and says something like that. And I'm just like, dude, you got outplayed by them. The level isn't – I don't think it's that far off. Is there a step? Yes. Yes, there is. There is a step between CPL and MLS, but it's not 5 steps. It's not 3 steps. It's 1, maybe 1.5 right now. The level of the CPL has gone up so far. And to say that these guys don't deserve to be on the pitch with you is a joke. I know he didn't actually say that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what he was saying internally.
It was just so tone deaf and so stupid, especially considering all of the other things that have been Steven Eustachio and Jesse Marsh, both really talking about the importance of the league. Yeah. And, like, you just got beat by Forge, man and you almost got beat.
Go ahead.
They almost got beat by Forge the last time that they were when they were in the Can-Champ finals in 2021-22.
Yeah, and they did get beat by Forge in a tie earlier in one of these Can-Champ games. Not this season, but like in another season. They did lose a game to Forge. They have lost games. So, no, you can't talk like that if the teams are consistently showing up against the MLS sides. The step's not that big, my man.
No, that
and
does
you
not
could end
bode
up
well.
down there soon if you don't smarten up.
No, that's the biggest thing to me. I was just like, pal, it's not like he's held his own for Toronto FC and held his own in the MLS. He's a fringe guy.
I do think he's been good this year for the most part.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to be down there next year, but like he could be. There's guys on this team who could be.
And that's just it.
And there's guys in the CPL who could be on TFC next year.
Poku, are you kidding me?
Right?
Are you kidding me?
But man, if I'm Kyle Becker or David Schwanier or one of those guys, I'm going in, I'm printing out that quote on a piece of paper, and I'm walking into the change room, taking my pencil and just sticking it right through and pinning it up on the board and being like, boys, let's go show them.
What more ammo did this Forge side need? Because Jordan Hamilton said it. They
needed nothing more.
They
you just
nothing.
Gave it to them. You lit the fuse for no reason other than the fact that you were pissed off that you guys didn't show up. And now you lit the fuse for the next game, which you needed. You needed the fuse to be lit, not them.
Yeah.
And you just gave them ammunition. Not only that, you gave them ammunition that's on fire and pointed at you.
Yeah. Like, come on.
Like, are you serious?
No, that's bad. That's just bad. Like, Herdman better be in his ear for that. Like, it's tone deaf, it's immature, it's stupid, and I can't wait. I'm going to be at that game. I'm excited, and I can't wait for Forge to run us off the pitch again because it's going to happen.
Man, if Forge goes out there and runs TFC off the pitch in BMO, fans will riot.
I can't wait for the Forge contingent of fans. I can't wait for the supporters to be out at BMO. It's going to be loud. It's going to be noisy. It's going to be a fun game for the atmosphere of it. And now the storyline. Like you played right into, you shot yourself in the foot with that.
You gave it to them.
You gave it to them.
You gave it to them. You can't do that.
No.
I'm sorry. No. Like, I get that. I get that you want to make a comment, and I get you're upset, and you want to say, "Oh no, we're definitely a better side." Listen, had you just said that, hey, listen, I think we are a better side. I think we have the potential to do more than what we did today. That's a different comment.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's not bulletin board material. That's a personal thought. I think we're the better side, and we can do more than what we did today. That's not what you said, though, and you just gave them ammunition, and that's on you. And now Forge has every right to come out and just try to bury them in the first 30 minutes of the game. If they can get a goal, TFC will implode.
Oh, yeah.
Implode. And again, I said this about the last one. The game's a month and a half away. These sides could look very different.
Well,
But
and that's
if
just
they're similar enough, TFC will implode with an early goal.
what even is the solution for Toronto FC at this point? Is it the fact that Richie and Osa are going to come back? Is that what's going to be able to rejuvenate
Well,
this
I mean,
squad?
it'll
Is that what
help.
we're missing?
It'll help. But the defense is weak.
It's bad, but
It's weak. I'm not going to say it's bad because they've shown flashes of cohesiveness, but it's weak. They don't have enough consistency. And when it comes to, I love what Bernardeschi's done this year. I think he's played significantly better than he did last year. But as
Another
a
bad
whole,
haircut.
the two Italians are inconsistent. They're just they're not. They do not do enough across 90 minutes, game in, game out. Again, and this is me saying that while saying Bernardeschi, I think, has had a good year. It's not what we need from them. We need more.
No.
And we don't have a true number 9 either. Like,
Well, like,
Owusu's
why-
been fine, but he's not a true...
Why are we playing Etienne at the 9? That's what I
Because
couldn't
we don't
say.
have anybody.
Then why are we getting rid of Iwakanola and Jordan Peruzza?
Io and Herdman had a weird relationship, and I'm kind of glad Io got out of that.
That's fair.
Personally, I
That's
don't
fair.
think it was going to help him, and if we potentially want him to be a maybe national team guy, he's never going to do it at TFC. You know what I mean? If he could find goals, and that's what we need right now, I would rather have somebody who can find goals. And Io has shown that he can find goals. I'm not saying he's going to be a national team guy, but like we want to give as many Canadians the opportunity to be in that pool. He needed to go somewhere other than TFC.
Yeah.
The Peruso one, I don't have a defense for. I didn't understand it. But what do I know? So
It's brutal. I don't know. Bill Manning's gone. Hopefully there's some changes because, you just like. But the other thing too is just really quick to wrap things up on these thoughts.
yeah.
They had chances. Toronto FC had chances where they could have drawn level. Take the defense out of it. Take the brilliant goal away from Matty Bank. Whatever. There were too many opportunities. Like Insigne at the beginning of the match could have freaking scored. I've had it this summer with these freaking wops making me upset. Okay? I'm livid. The Italian national team sucks. Give me the peace of mind. Give me the happiness. Give me some joy and have Insigne and Bernardeschi, who won the last Euros, actually play well for Toronto FC. And Berna has played well. I'm not saying he hasn't, but not up to a Giovinco level. Not up to a wow. These guys are DP. Wow. Oh my God.
Berna's been the closest out of the two of them because Insigne's been awful this year, in my opinion. He's shown like 3 or 4 flashes of really good moments, and then he looks uninterested. Uninterested is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, no, they're not a team right now. I think that Toronto FC fans were spoiled with how well things started this season because I think the conversation preseason was actually realistic expectations, and then I think they played above. They punched above their weight, and then it was like, oh, now this is just really disappointing.
Yep.
So Can we expect anything different from this season? I don't think so. I think it was going to be an up and down year. It's just tough because you have some immense highs and lows. But I don't know. We'll see. Bill Manning's out. The transfer window's
Thank
opened
God.
up.
That guy's been running two teams into the ground for the last couple of years, and he needed to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. Do they try to bring in anybody big just to try to save the season? I don't think you can. The saddest part about all of this is that they're still in a playoff spot. If they're gonna play this bad, get out of it. Just bomb. I don't want you anywhere near the playoffs. Get a higher draft pick so you can trade it away for TAM or GAM or whatever you want to trade it for. Don't be in the playoffs if you're gonna be this bad.
Yeah.
I know it gets you money, but like don't do it. I don't want you there. Go lose. Lose at this point.
Just tank.
There's
just
no
tank,
point.
no.
There's just no point because you're gonna lose. Like you're gonna play. You might win the first game in the play-in game, and then you're gonna get your butt handed to you in like ugly fashion, not pretty fashion. You're gonna get your butt handed to you on a wooden platter, not a silver platter. It'll be awful. It'll be ugly. Like, just don't be in the playoffs if you're gonna be this bad.
Yeah, no, it's shameful. It's abysmal, and they need a miracle. They need a miracle. And well, I will say, Saturday gave us a teensy weensy bit to look forward to. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to the CPL first. I want to start with York,
exactly,
who got a big result against Cavs in Calgary, by the way, which doesn't happen very often.
Are you kidding? During the Stampede? All right.
Well, just period.
Paint the town green.
Just period. Forget during the Stampede. I'm talking period.
Exciting.
Big goal as well from the youngster
Shola
Jamo with the game winner in the 82nd minute after Babuli's goal. Warcheski,
a beauty.
Warcheski scored in the 90th +8 to give Cavs a goal.
That didn't even count. Didn't count.
It clearly did.
Doesn't. Ignore the scores. If it happened after the 95th minute, and it doesn't count.
It counts. I'm sorry. That's not how this works, unfortunately. As we learned in the Canada-Uruguay game, that's not how it works. But another big assist from Wright, who I've really been impressed with. That run to get the goal for Shola was fantastic. He really pushed his way through, forced the Cavs guys to jump at him, and he fed it through to the youngster, who I think was a little bit shocked that he was in the right spot, but he finished it, which is great. It's such a great moment for him and a great moment for the side, who have had some inconsistent play throughout this first half of the season, more good than bad, but that's a building block right there. You get a youngster in, everyone starts rallying, and now, okay, hey, we got some momentum now, and then the kid scores. And you're like, oh, now we really got momentum going our way. And they're doing really well this year. I'm just going to check the standings. So I think they're in second.
They are.
Right? They're second behind Atletico. And they're 5 points clear. Forge is in third on 21, just 2 points back of York. And then there's two teams tied at 19 with Vancouver and Pacific, and Cavs are in sixth on 17. All right?
What a shame.
Well, it's an interesting look, and I mean, like, I'll quickly go through the other results because there were other results. Vancouver lost 3-0 to Atletico, which was
Atletico they played
one of
off the bench.
One of the first drubbings of the season for, I would say, Vancouver, because I thought they've played fairly well this season, but they've been inconsistent as well, and I think that travel is starting to kill them. I really do. They've been traveling more than any other side, and it just looks like it's starting to catch up to them. And that Ottawa team is ridiculously good. Don't get me wrong. So it's not really a shock, but that Vancouver side, there's some question marks there.
Yeah, there's some tiredness. There's some sloppy play. There was
some question marks.
Unfortunate, because I think we were really excited about the start that they had to the season.
Absolutely.
And then go up and put results like that. I don't think it's a truly defining moment for the club.
No, I think there's still a lot more in this for them. So more to come.
100%.
And then we talked about Forge already. They picked up a 2-1 victory over Pacific. So the two Can Champ teams played off against each other 4 days later.
And
2-1
boy, did
win.
it look like they were only playing 4 days after a big
Yeah, they
matchups
looked
against
tired.
MLS sides.
They looked tired.
Jesus Christ. It was like it was a slow watch at the beginning. I think Jimmy Brennan said it. He was like, "Yeah, they're gonna pick up the pace here,"
which is so weird because like Pacific Pacific does play a little bit slower style than most teams in the CPL, but Forge does not. Forge likes to run you and make you sit back and force you to play, kind of like Atletico. Atletico is very similar in that way. They want to just run you off the pitch. Yeah, that didn't happen. Forge didn't have the legs for that. Which I don't blame them. They had a big game when so did
Pacific. All against TFC. Exactly.
It's one of those like, all right, well, I guess we just move on and get there. So CPL wrapped up that way, and now MLS will start.
Can I go on one quick rant?
No. Yeah, absolutely you can.
Okay. Why is it the case that with my Fubo subscription, I could not actually watch the York United game live? Because now I was happy I got to watch the Canadian women's national team play, because it was being broadcasted on One Soccer. And I think there were other people on Twitter that were mad about this. So I need an explanation here. Why is it that as soon as the Canadian women's national team game ended, I could not then watch the York game? It was playing a replay of a match from several years ago. So I'm upset with Fubo One Soccer or somebody. I don't know. But I'm mad about that. And that's all. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
I thought you were asking me to give you an answer. I'm like, I don't know.
I
don't use Fubo, so I have no idea. I would assume that it's just because one of the One Soccer channels is the one that feeds directly to Fubo, and that was the one.
If that's gonna be the main channel, put it on. Anyways, I'm sorry.
That's my thought, right? Is that there's more than one channel, and to feed it directly, and they may not have the capabilities to do the switch over right in between matches if one's already live. So that would be my only thought. Again, it's not a very good reason because I know how to switch between live in a game. So that's not saying a whole lot, but that would be my only thought. And I'm not trying to rip on anyone at One Soccer. I'm not trying to say anything about Fubo. That's my only logistical thought. Or that they don't like going into a in-progress match. They think it, because some people see it as unprofessional to start a match in the middle. I agree with you that I would rather have live matches as opposed to replays. So I would have wanted them to cut to the York match. I'm just saying that's my logical explanation.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not a good answer, but that's the one that I believe is the case.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That was my quick
did I do a good job? Did I wrap it up well for you?
Yes, I guess.
Okay. You still seem very upset about this.
No. I have no anger. All
right. Well, let's wrap this show up because we've been on air for almost an hour and 15 minutes, and we got to get this going here. I know. We got to stop talking. 3 games in the MLS this week. Montreal first picked up a 1-0 victory, their first win in a while.
Yeah,
they've struggled this year. So has all of the Canadian teams, but that was actually I shouldn't say that was their first win in a while because they did pick up a win against Philly a few weeks ago. But they have 2 wins out of their last 7 matches and 4 draws and 2 losses. So they're actually probably the most in-form Canadian team right now. But they pick up the big 1-0 victory over Atlanta United, who are pretty much in the exact same spot as Montreal in the standings right now.
Yeah.
So there you go. And it was Ruan with the goal, Raheem Edwards with the assist, and he's been playing fantastic. Another name to keep an eye on for the national side on that like wing back kind of role that they have Larea and Davies and Buchanan, that kind of thing. He's another guy that I would be very interested to see. Him and Mo Farsi are 2 names that didn't make it into either of the camps that I really like in those kind of roles.
Yes. Did Farsi switch nationalities?
What do you mean?
I don't know if he's still eligible to represent Canada.
I don't know if he is, but I like
that was
I like
a
him.
story.
I don't know. I don't know if he is, but I like him as a potential guy.
No more rabbit holes because we gotta.
No more
go.
rabbit holes. The Whitecaps, talked about them getting the win against Pacific. They also kind of beat the living tar out of St. Louis.
Yeah.
4-1. And this is the St. Louis team. I don't know if you remember. They kind of won the West last year.
Is that those guys?
Yeah,
was that
they're in 13th place in the West this year out of, I think it's only of 14. It's ugly, man. It's they are, it's 13 of 14. They're struggling. 4 wins on the season, and I mean Vancouver, good for you for putting goals in because they needed that as well. They haven't been playing. They haven't not been playing very well as of late. They've been playing a lot of crappy teams recently, which is good, so that helps. So 3 wins out of their last 4, and they picked up a draw against Montreal. Prior to that, they had lost 5 out of 6 or something. It was ugly. It was ugly.
Oh, but hopefully they can turn it around. You know what I mean?
They're the one that I have the highest hope for out of the 3 Canadian teams.
I think yes. If there's one that we think are actually going to be able to do a little bit of something this season, it's the Whitecaps.
And then TFC, who we already talked about losing to Forge, went out and beat the worst team in the Eastern Conference in the MLS, 2-1.
Listen, I don't really care about who's the worst or who's the best. I don't think we have to nitpick there. Standings are irrelevant. It's just about how the game went, and DeAndre Kerr showed up, and Toronto FC showed that they're clearly a team that can play football sometimes.
Sometimes is a very key word there. And you're right. Like, Philadelphia is only 5 points out of the playoff spot right now in the East. But they are the last place team in the East. They are not having a good season. And if you are TFC, who has aspirations of being a playoff team and a competitive playoff team, which I don't know if they should be, but if they have aspirations of doing that, you need to win these games. It's their first win since May 18th.
That's... Listen, that's big. I think
they also only had 1 draw in that time.
It's not been nice. But Richie and Oso are coming back.
Yep.
I think that in this window, you bring in another good defender, you bring in a striker, and Herdman does his thing. Anything's possible. You know?
Absolutely. I agree with you. I'm just...
A lot of things have to go right.
It's just disappointing, man. Like, you gotta be better than this.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why Bernadeschi was saying when he was visiting Turin and saying to Max Allegri and events, "I want to come back. Bring me back. Bring me back."
Yeah, I think he wants to go back. I think Insigne's happy here just because of his kids and everything. But I think Berna would be fine going back to Italy. But who knows? I have no idea.
He's playing like he wants to go back there.
Usually.
So.
Sometimes. Most of the time. Not always.
It's true. That's true.
But they needed this win. They desperately needed this win against the last place team in the East. Because if they had lost this game, because this puts them on 27 points. If they had lost this game, they're currently sitting tied for 10th, just outside of the playoffs, behind Montreal.
Nice.
2
we
points.
Blew them out. We blew them out earlier this season.
2 points out of a playoff spot.
It's brutal.
If they lose that match. Now they win the match, so they're sitting in 8th right now. 1 point up on Montreal for 10th.
That's basically like next to first. So.
Right. But that's my point, is that one match was so important. They would have actually been tied on points with Philadelphia had they lost that match.
No, I think for momentum and for just to feel like they can actually turn this around, they needed to have that win.
They needed it.
And I don't know. I'm glad that Forge kicked them when they were down. I'm glad Forge was able to grab the victory and outplay them, and it got Manning. I like that. Did you see that tweet? I don't know. Like, I don't know if this was infamous in anybody else's timeline, but it was quite funny because I saw a tweet that was like, "It's a shame that no matter what happens tonight, Bill Manning is still going to be leading this team tomorrow." And then the direct post that I saw afterwards was like, "Bill Manning has
parted ways with the MLSE."
It was brilliant. God. It was fantastic. So, I think hopefully this is the beginning of something that they can turn around, and it is a good momentum builder, and it was great showing from DeAndre Kerr, who has shown flashes of being a wonderful player, and I don't know, I really want to see him one day have a role in this Canadian men's national team, so let's hope
It's a
that
big
this.
ask, but it could happen.
It's true. It's true. Let's hope this is the beginning of a new dawn.
Well, we will see. And there's lots to still come up, and we'll see a lot more coming up for the national sides, the women, as we said, heading off to the Olympics. We will get more CPL, more MLS action over the next couple of weeks, and there is a U20 World Cup about to start for the men, so we'll get that going as well. A couple players in that from the CPL. But that'll do it for this week. It was a rather long show, so we're going to wrap this up now. Josh, always love talking to you, man. It's been a blast. We will see
Thank you very much.
We will see you next time. Make sure you follow on socials. Make sure you subscribe on the Garage Door Sports Network on YouTube for all of our live shows. Until then, thank you for listening. We'll see you then.